it's been scientifically proven, I should say, that weight management or weight management program is most effective when breakfast is incorporated as the main meal of the day. Now, you know, we live in a society now that is so different from the society that existed maybe 70 years ago, 80 years ago. See, nowadays, with us all working out of the house and us all having to make time and, you know, get there before, our whole relationship with breakfast has changed. It used to be, you know, when we were a slower pace kind of society, where most of the time people were either working at home or at least one person worked at home, it was easy for us to get into breakfast. It was easy to have the breakfast ready made, made and enjoyed before we went off to work. Now we hit the street, we have to hit the ground running morning. So as a result of that, breakfast is one of those things that we kind of say, it's optional, leave it alone. But in doing so, we fundamentally altered the way in which our body really operates, or we think we've altered it anyway. What we've more or less done is disturbed it. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about breakfast, and tomorrow night we'll conclude the presentation. Now, most people kind of look like this towards breakfast. The thought of facing food in the morning is like, no. Okay? I'm just, you look at him and he's going through the motion, but his heart's not in it. Right? Now, why is that? Well, he's probably still tired, a little bit, still a little bit drowsy, but he's not really hungry. And why is he not hungry? He had late supper last evening. He has no business being hungry this early in the morning. So the idea of facing a substantial breakfast is not something that he's looking forward to this morning. So therein lies one of the first issues we come up against. When we make one lifestyle change, it tends to have knock-on effects. If you're going to say, okay, I'm going to have a decent breakfast morning, then some other things have got to change. One of the things that's got to change is that big meal in the evening's got to kind of either change or happen much earlier in the day. Because you can't have it at 9 o'clock and then say at 6 o'clock in the morning you're going to be, right? So that's one of the things. Most people just settle for a cup of coffee or something light, and then they get started. In fact, many children show up at school without breakfast. And we're not talking about just the ones whose parents can't afford it these days. We're talking about the ones who it's just not part of the lifestyle, right? So why do we neglect breakfast? Why do we neglect it? One, the most common reason given is that I just don't have time for it. You don't understand. I have to be at work at 7:30. I just don't have time for it. Glenn, speaking of time, give me my hint, right? Yes. All right. The other reason we talked about a little bit, not hungry in the morning. Typically because I've eaten late at night and, my body clock just doesn't function like that right now. There's a popular misconception that in skipping breakfast, you can cut down on your calories and you can manage your weight. It's actually counterintuitive. It actually works exactly the opposite way. When you skip breakfast, you actually put on weight because you tend to fill that void with stuff that is not very healthy and is very high calorie. So if you skip breakfast, by 10 o'clock when that donut tray comes by and that coffee and the sugar and all the other stuff comes by, or that soda machine starts calling out to you, right? Or somebody has that special birthday celebration today and they've bought in this nice chocolate cake. Guess what we're going to have for breakfast then?
Chocolate cake.
And probably a soda to go with it, okay? Most of the time people just don't think it's very important. And that's part of the culture in which we live in right now. But But breakfast is part of our preparation for meeting the day. It's breaking the fast. It's fueling up our body to get to meet the necessary requirements of the day. It's, going out without breakfast is kind of like driving out of the car, out of the driveway, knowing that your tank is on empty, right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But we do that, right? Studies have shown that people who have breakfast tend to be less irritable. Of course, you thought it was because they didn't have their first cup of coffee, that's why you couldn't talk to them in the morning. No, it's probably also because they haven't had breakfast yet, right? Workers tend to be more efficient. Your body needs energy and fuel for you to be at your peak in the morning. And so if you skip breakfast, you tend not to be very efficient. You tend not to be very lucid. You also tend not to be very energetic, okay? It's been demonstrated that kids, and this is for the teachers, students who have a regular breakfast, eat a regular, healthy breakfast, have better test scores. Okay? So, but look at the health effect that all this has. It's been demonstrated through a 10-year study, this is all scientifically based, that folks who have a habit of eating a healthy breakfast suffer from less chronic diseases. They live longer lives, and they enjoy overall better health. Now, doesn't that itself sound like a good enough reason to explore the idea of maybe changing your breakfast habits? Come back tomorrow evening when we pick this up and find out some more about this subject. Thank you.